Hey, I'm Grant with Grant's Game Rex. Welcome to the best new expansions hitting retail in the month of July 2023. I think I have some news. And the reason I say I think I have some news is because I'm still open to feedback. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start splitting this video into two different videos. So I'll have one video for the best expansions hitting retail and then one video for the best new editions of board games hitting retail. When I first started doing this video, this expansions, I kind of just added the new editions on the end of it. It was just a little bit like tacked on, but now I guess maybe I'm learning about more new editions. Maybe there's more new editions coming out, but it feels like worthy of its own video, partly so that it's like, smaller digestible segments, and partly so you can click on whatever you're interested in to check out. But, also, maybe that's a dumb idea. I'm open to that. If you want to put it in the comments, let me know. So for this month, we're going to have this video. This is just expansions, and then there'll be a separate video for new editions, and that will most likely be how I'm doing it moving forward, but maybe it's a bad idea and you can let me know. But for now, who's ready for some expansions? Board game expansions. More. 25th Century Games is releasing Prehistories Evolution. This is an expansion to the game Prehistories, which came out only, I think, last year. So it's a fairly new game and it's already getting an expansion. In Prehistories, you are playing as, tribes, like hunters in tribes, and you are hunting animals, sort of like woolly mammoths and that sort of stuff. And then you'll make cave paintings. And the way you do it is you play cards simultaneously as other people, and the higher value of the hunters that you play, well, the larger of the animals you can hunt, but also the slower you move. Whereas you can also make a small hunting party and move quickly. And you're going to different spaces and you're getting these polyomino tiles. The animals that you're hunting are represented by polyomino tiles, and then you go and you put the polyomino tiles into your own cave area and you're making like cave paintings and stuff. But it's a game that I think is cool because it's it's got that intrigue of what are other people going to play. Are they going to try to beat me to what I'm trying to get right now? And it's a welcoming type of game for sure. It's a game that plays in 30 to 45 minutes. Well, this expansion adds 4 modules to the base game. Each module comes in a sealed envelope with a backstory and special rules and new gameplay elements. So it adds a little bit more story to the game. It adds a little bit more replayability with different ways that you can play it. And once all the modules are opened, you can mix and match them all with the base game, play with whatever you like the most. So that's Prehistories Evolutions. Flying Frog Productions is releasing Shadows of Brimstone, Gates of Valhalla, and this is a new game in their Shadows of Brimstone line of games. Flying Frog Productions has a lot of Shadows of Brimstone games, and so I don't really know whether to call this like a new game or an expansion or a new edition, but it's in this video. This is where it is. So I'm calling it like a standalone expansion, but it's a new game in the Shadows of Brimstone line. In Gates of Valhalla, players take on the role of a group of Norse Vikings exploring the icy crags and snowy forests of the Norse lands filled with snarling beasts and mythological creatures. So you are exploring, you are fighting, these bad guys, these animals and stuff like that, these beasts, I suppose. Beasts, that sounds more intense than animals, right? Animals, you're like, is it a kitty cat? And beasts, you're like, this kitty cat's mean. So, there's a lot of, in this game, it includes everything you need to play as a group of Viking heroes, and explore different stuff. So if you like Shadows of Brimstone, hey, you got more now. I hope you're excited. Grand Gamers Guild is releasing the Artemis Project Satellites and Commanders. So the Artemis Project came out a few years ago, and it's a game I really like, and in fact I put it on my top 10 of the games that were new to me one year, because I didn't play it the year that it came out. But it's a really great worker placement, dice placement game where you are placing dice, getting resources, but it's pretty cutthroat because when you place a dice down, you're going to get resources from that location according to the number of pips you have on your dice. But any subsequent dice that is placed there that has a less number of pips than you goes earlier in the turn order. So there might be no resources left by the time it gets to your dice. Oh, you put a 5 there trying to get a lot of stuff. Well, now they put a 3 and they put a 2 and there were only 6 things there and you only get one of them when you thought you were going to get 5. And I think it's just a really interesting game. It's one of my favorite dice placement games out there, and one of my favorite mean games out there for sure. The Artemis Project Satellite and Commanders adds 2 main things to the game. It adds commanders are these new meeples. They call them colonists in the game. In the base game, there are multiple different colors of colonists, and they all can do different things and can get placed in different places. Well, commanders are a new category of colonists that can act as any colonist type. They're like a wild when you're placing them down on stuff, and you can also send them with your dice to increase the pip value of your dice. So now you have a way to mitigate and get what you need to get if you want. But the interesting thing, they can increase the pip value of your dice, but they don't change its location. So you can put a 3 down and still be in front of a 4, but now that 3 is a 5 and you take 5 resources. So I think that's really cool. I like being able to sort of manipulate how much you're getting from different places. And the other thing that that this expansion adds, the other main thing it adds, are satellites, which are off-board locations which players can access, and they influence the action on the moon's surface. And so they're these extra places that you tuck under the corners of the boards, and you can go there and get special benefits and things like that. So if you're a fan of the Artemis Project, Satellites and Commanders adds a lot more interesting content to it. Hachette, as well as Sorry We Are French, is releasing Icky Akebono expansion. So this is an expansion for Icky. Icky came out in 2015, but it didn't really come out in North America, and then Hachette brought it to North America a couple of years ago, and it's a really great game. It's sort of a worker placement game, but you are moving around the streets of Edo, which is basically ancient Tokyo. You're moving around these streets, visiting various shops, recruiting people to work in the shops, getting resources from the shops that you visit, but it's sort of this rondelle-esque track. It's not really a rondelle, but it's this circuit that you can move through and get resources. And it's a game that there's only 12 turns, and so every turn is sort of excruciating in terms of its decisions, right? Everything feels so important because you don't have that much time to get stuff done in the game. Well, the Akebono expansion adds new character cards, building cards, new pipe, tobacco, and fish tokens for more strategic depth and decision making, and it also introduces a new location. It is the bridge of Nihonbashi, and I for sure said that wrong, and I apologize, but the bridge of Nihonbashi, which expands the main street and offers players new opportunities. You can stop at the bridge to meet famous personalities. You can trade with ships in the river there. So this new location adds more strategic depth to the already great game Icky. So if you're a fan of Icky, then check this out for sure. Origami Origami Whale. I don't know why I can't talk tonight. I keep messing up my words here in this video. I'm self-conscious about it. You can also put that in, you can put in the comments. You can put, this video splitting them is dumb, but also, you're okay how you're speaking. It's not that big a deal. Those are the two things I want in the comments. Origami Whale is released. I'm sorry, I'm just being dumb and silly here because I don't know how to be any other way. Origami Whale is releasing Danger the Game Mythical Mayhem. This is a standalone expansion to Danger the Game. Danger the Game is a party game that plays like 3 to 10 players, and it's a very fun party game where one player reveals a dangerous situation that they are in, and then everybody else has both tool and skill cards in their hand, and it's sort of like an improv game where you can say, okay, I'm going to use these skills and these tools to rescue you from that dangerous situation, and everybody goes around and makes up the way that they would rescue the person, and then the active player gets to choose which rescuing, which justification they like the best. And it's very silly and fun, and if you like storytelling, it's a very good game. And the base game is sort of all modern settings, right? It's real life sort of danger stuff, even though it's crazy and ridiculous. This is Mythical Mayhem adds wizards and dragons and basically puts it into fantasy theme land. So instead of just modern dangerous situations, now you have fantastical dangerous situations. It also adds some sort of, role-playing elements. You can add a D20 into this, and you'll roll it to find out what happens sometimes to you. So it adds even more storytelling to the game. So if you like storytelling games, I've always liked Danger the Game, and then this Mythical Mayhem adds even more role-playing and story elements to it, and then also puts it into a fantasy theme, so that's fun. Renegade Game Studios is releasing Transformers deck-building game War on Cybertron expansion. So the Transformers deck-building game, Renegade Game Studios, has a lot of IP-based deck-building games, which are sort of what you already think they are, even if you've not played them. It's based on that IP, and you are doing classic deck-building stuff to fight people and to make your deck better. So in the War on Cybertron, it's just adding a ton of new stuff to the deck-building game. There's over 175 cards that you can add to it. There's a matrix of cards to gather allies, tools, defeat adversaries, and this is a standalone expansion that allows you to play team versus team, solo, or cooperative game modes. So it adds a bunch of different game modes to the deck building game Transformers. If you like Transformers, this is all about that. So that's for sure the reason why you would look out into this, is that you probably already like Transformers. Renegade Game Studios is also releasing a couple of expansions to its G.I. Joe Mission Critical game. And if you're not familiar with G.I. Joe Mission Critical, it is a cooperative miniatures board game. So you are, going around the board with your miniatures, fighting bad guys, and trying to save the day as the G.I. Joes. So one of the expansions that they're releasing is Midnight Storm expansion. This adds 2 new heroes for you. There's Jinx and Mutt. It introduces a new boss to play against, Storm Shadow. It introduces 2 new lieutenants, Slice and Dice, and 12 foot soldiers, Red Ninjas. So, more miniatures and more stuff to beat, and more stuff to play as. The other expansion that they're releasing is G.I. Joe Mission Critical Vanguard Strike expansion. This adds 3 new heroes. You got Flint, Lady J, and Barbecue. There are 3 new vehicles in the game. There are new lieutenants, Aleph, leader of the Night Creepers, and a new nemesis, Firefly. So, pick the characters that you're most interested in, and you got 2 expansions to find those characters and play as them and beat stuff and feel good about yourself cooperatively. Skybound Tabletop is releasing the Trial by Trolley Vacation expansion. It's technically called Trial by Trolley Travel by Trolley. So Trial by Trolley is a party game that plays kind of an unlimited amount of people because you split into teams. And so it is the classic trolley dilemma. If you don't know what the trolley dilemma is, it's there are people on this track or people on this track, and you have to decide which of them you're going to run over. The trolley don't stop for nobody. Somebody's going to die. Who are you going to kill? And so this makes a party game out of that idea. And so one player is the active player, and then everybody else splits into two teams. And there are cards on the tracks, but you are playing cards onto the other team's tracks and trying to convince the person to run over their track and not your own. You're like, yeah, that might be a nursery school right there, but those all grow up to be serial killers. So you should run over those nursery school kids, things like that. It's a very silly and tongue-in-cheek. Well, in the expansion Travel by Trolley, it adds 200 new track and modifier cards inspired by vacation destinations around the world and the petty frustrations we face every time we travel. So if you get frustrated traveling, because people are standing up the minute the plane lands and there's nowhere to go, they haven't even opened the doors yet, I don't know why you're standing up. We're all stuck on this plane at the same time, okay? I'm going to have to hip check somebody because I get out before the people behind me. That's how society works. We all file out, and I don't understand why people don't know that. But I digress. I hope that's in the game because that's one of my pet peeves when I'm traveling. This is all travel sort of theme stuff, and it gives you the opportunity to run over some people that you would never do in real life, but you kind of think about it in your head. So that is the Trial by Trolley Vacation expansion. And lastly, Van Ryder Games is releasing Moments. This is a standalone expansion to their Keepers game that came out a couple of years ago. In Keepers, both of these games are full of gorgeous, gorgeous nature photography. Like so beautiful. Like some of the things you're looking at and you're like, this can't be real. Is this a drawing? But they're all photos. And so in Keepers, one player would play a card down and then people would be playing things that are either most like that or least like that. And then you would have to guess who was what and which, and you have to vote for, okay, I think this card is the most like it or this card is the least like it, and whoever's getting the most votes is getting points. Well, and Keepers was a competitive game. Well, Moments turns that sort of same gameplay into a cooperative game. So some players will be giving clues to describe their cards, which will then be mixed with random cards from the deck, and the other players will be working together to identify all of the cards correctly. So, I'm describing this card, then it's mixed up. Can you guess which one was my card? That's the whole idea, and we do it together, and we get points as a team. So it's a fairly, light, it's a party-esque game, but maybe like a thinkier party game with that association stuff, but plays in 15 to 30 minutes and plays 3 to 8 players. So those are all the expansions that I've got coming to retail here in the month of July. In a few days, I'll release the best new editions of board games coming out this month, and there's a lot of really good ones. I don't want to tease it too much, but like Boss Monsters getting a 10th anniversary, things like that will be on that video. So if you want to support this series or the content creation that I do, you're always welcome to check out my Patreon. There's some cool perks on there, but I'm going to be adding some different perks and stuff soon on there too. So It's patreon.com/GrantsGameRex. And, follow me on TikTok and Instagram and all those places if you don't already, because I do a lot of content on there as well. So thanks so much for the support, everybody. I hope you're having fun playing games out there.